Imagine a man so strong he can lift 3 times his own body weight. Now imagine that same man cannot wipe himself after using the toilet. He cannot scratch his own back. He cannot even roll over in his sleep without help. This is not a joke. This really happened to some of the biggest bodybuilders in the world, and it gets worse. Much worse. One famous bodybuilder did not just hurt himself. He was involved in a shocking, life-changing crime. His name was Craig Titus. Fans loved him. Magazines put him on their covers. He looked like a superhero standing on stage. But behind closed doors, the same drugs that built his huge muscles were quietly destroying his mind. He became violent. He lost control of his own thoughts. And in the end, he was found guilty in one of the darkest scandals bodybuilding has ever seen. This was not just one bad day gone wrong. Doctors have a name for what happened to him. They call it roid rage. It happens when a person pumps their body with so many steroids that the brain simply stops working the normal way. One moment a bodybuilder can be calm, smiling, taking pictures with fans. The next moment, he can be smashing furniture, screaming at the top of his lungs, or hurting the people closest to him. Another famous bodybuilder named Gordon Kimbrough was arrested for hurting his own girlfriend again and again for years before anyone stepped in to stop him. Even Rich Piana, one of the most followed bodybuilders on the entire internet, admitted before he passed away that steroids had completely wrecked his brain. He said the drugs gave him wild highs, followed by terrible, dark lows. He said there were days he genuinely did not feel like himself anymore, like a stranger was living inside his own head. These were not evil men when they started this journey. They were normal young men who simply wanted the perfect body, and slowly, without even realizing it, they lost themselves completely along the way. But the mental damage is only the beginning of this dark story. Let's talk about something even more shocking, something you will never see in a gym selfie. Some of the biggest bodybuilders in the world could not even take a bath by themselves. Their arms grew so massive that they could no longer reach behind their own back. Their shoulders became so wide that simple washing turned into an impossible task. Many of them stopped showering for days at a time, and it was not because they were lazy. It was because their own bodies physically stopped them from doing the most normal, basic human tasks. One bodybuilder, named Greg Kovacs, weighed over 400 pounds of pure, chemically built muscle. Guests who visited his home later admitted they could barely breathe standing near him because of the smell trapped in his skin folds. He had to wear diapers, just like a baby, because his own body was too big and too slow to reach the bathroom in time. His own wife had to help clean him after using the toilet, not because he was sick, but simply because he was too enormous to take care of himself. This man built the biggest, most impressive muscles in the world, and those very same muscles quietly took away his freedom. He could not walk across a single room without sweating buckets. He could not sleep lying flat on his back. He could not travel on a normal airplane like everyone else. His own body, the thing he worked so hard to build, slowly turned into a cage he could never escape. Now let's talk about how these bodies are actually built, because it is nothing like the clean eating and hard work story they sell you on Instagram. Every single day, many professional bodybuilders inject themselves with needles. Not once a day, not twice a day. Sometimes many times in a single day. These injections are filled with steroids, growth hormones, insulin, and even thick oils that make muscles look bigger and rounder than they naturally could ever be. One bodybuilder named Andreas Munzer looked absolutely perfect in every photo. Zero fat on his body. Pure, dry muscle. Fans everywhere admired him and wanted to look exactly like him. But doctors later discovered more than 20 different drugs sitting inside his body at once. His liver was completely destroyed. His kidneys stopped working. His blood had turned thick like sludge, barely able to move through his veins. He died when he was only 31 years old, with a body that fans still call perfect to this day. Another bodybuilder named Greg Valentino injected thick oil straight into his arms for years, all just to make them look bigger under stage lights. His arms did not simply grow bigger. They started rotting from the inside out. He developed horrifying infections that spread under his skin. One day, his arm swelled up so badly that he was forced to cut it open himself, using a knife in his own bathroom, just to let the infected pus drain out. His arms were no longer real muscle at all. They had quietly turned into bags of oil, blood, and dying tissue, hidden underneath skin that still looked huge and impressive on camera. Here is something almost nobody knows, and it is one of the most private, most shocking secrets in the entire sport. These injections do not just build big muscles. They quietly destroy a man's body from the inside, in a very personal and painful way that most bodybuilders never talk about publicly. When a man injects fake testosterone into his body every single day, his own body slowly stops making testosterone on its own. It simply forgets how. Over time, this causes his body to shrink in the most personal way possible. This is not some rare, unlucky side effect. This happens to a huge number of professional bodybuilders, yet almost nobody ever brings it up in interviews or documentaries, because it does not fit the image the industry wants to sell. On top of all this, many of these men completely lose their ability to sleep like a normal person. Their heart races all night long because of the stimulants and fat burners running through their system. Some of them need sleeping pills or sedatives just to close their eyes for a few short hours before waking up again. So behind every single huge muscular photo you scroll past online, there might be a man who has not slept a full, peaceful night in years. Now let's talk about the food, because even this part of the story is far darker than most people would ever guess. Before stepping on stage for a competition, many bodybuilders completely stop drinking water. Not just for one day, sometimes for an entire week straight. Their lips crack and split. Their kidneys silently scream for help. But they keep pushing forward anyway, just so their muscles look extra sharp and extra dry for a few short hours under the bright stage lights. They also stop eating salt completely, just to drain every last drop of water hiding under their skin. This is an extremely dangerous game to play with your own body. While their muscles look absolutely perfect on camera, their organs are quietly struggling to survive underneath. Their blood pressure crashes without warning. Their heart rate spikes suddenly, sometimes dangerously high. And just before walking on stage, many of them take laxatives and water pills to squeeze out the very last bit of water left in their body. These pills do not just remove water and nothing else. They also drain the body of important minerals that keep a person's heart beating in a normal, steady rhythm. Because of this dangerous routine, bodybuilders have collapsed backstage, just minutes before stepping into the competition they trained years for. Some of them never got back up again. And in between competitions, many of these same men swing to the complete opposite extreme, eating massive amounts of sugary food in a single sitting, just to shock their body back into growth mode, putting even more stress on a heart that is already working overtime. And here is the most disturbing part of this entire story, saved for the end. When a young, healthy-looking bodybuilder suddenly dies, the fitness world barely says a word about it. No real warning is ever given to fans. No serious investigation ever seems to happen. The official reason is usually something short and simple, like heart failure or unknown complications. And that is where the whole story quietly ends, buried under a single black and white photo and a hashtag. But people who have worked closely with these athletes know the real truth hiding underneath those simple words. It is never just bad luck. When a 28-year-old man, with almost zero body fat and a heart twice the size of a normal person's heart, simply drops dead in his sleep, with no warning at all. These young men are not dying from random bad luck. They are dying from the exact same system that made them famous in the first place. A deadly mix of steroids, starvation, dehydration, and drugs that were never meant to be used for years at a time. And here is what makes this whole situation even worse. After these men die, their old photos stay online forever, untouched, exactly the way they were before. Shirtless pictures, perfect dry abs, supplement links sitting right underneath every single post. Millions of young boys and men scroll past these exact photos every single day, genuinely believing this is what real health looks like. They have absolutely no idea that the man smiling in that photo was secretly injecting drugs into his body every day, starving himself of water for days at a time, and slowly pushing himself toward an early grave, one competition at a time. Every single one of those photos still has a link underneath it, quietly encouraging new fans to buy the exact same supplements that were supposedly part of his secret formula for success. That is exactly how this entire machine keeps running, year after year, without ever slowing down. One bodybuilder dies quietly behind closed doors, and within just a few months, a brand new face takes his place on the same stage, using the exact same drugs, chasing the exact same impossible dream, walking straight down the exact same dangerous road toward the exact same painful ending. Families who lose their sons or husbands are often told, quietly and firmly, to simply let it go and move on with their lives. So the very next time you see a bodybuilder with a seemingly perfect body on your screen, remember everything you just learned. Behind those huge, impressive muscles could be a broken mind, a rotting arm hidden under a sleeve, a body quietly shrinking in the most personal way, years of sleepless nights, or a grieving family that was quietly told to stay silent forever. This is the real, hidden side of bodybuilding that nobody in this industry ever wants you to see. But now, finally, you know the truth.